welcome to the Dental Diaries podcast. Today, I have my lovely, gorgeous guest, Katrina Sanders, RDH, and so much more. Welcome.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm good. So everybody, This woman, I've been dying to talk to you forever. We were just talking about Instagram stalking. Another amazing woman that I've found through Insta, doing incredible things. But she, you have such a long list. I figured we should just talk about it versus me reading.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we could just kind of dive into it all. First of all, so let's start with your Instagram and your handle, which is the dental wine genist, right? Is that
yes, the dental wine genist.
Okay,
yes.
Which is so good. Thank
you.
Tell us where your love started, for wine. I mean, we all love wine, but tell us.
We all love wine. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's love for wine starts with that, college party when you have a little bit of Boone's Farm and you're like, oh, okay.
Boone's. Oh my God. Yes.
I love wine. I think so many of us do. And I'm a curious student of life, I call myself. So whenever I experience something and I love it, I want to immerse myself in it. I want to learn more about it. I want to be a part of that world. And so I started doing wine tasting several years ago, was very curious about it, started studying for my level 1 sommelier exam. Sommelier.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you. You learn how to say a lot of French words when you go through all of this training, but the coursework around it was very cool because it involves not only wine tasting, but understanding the history of wine. It has a really robust history that, until you really dive into it, looking back on how the Catholic Church really was the entity that kept wine going during Prohibition, when, people were opening up aged wine casks and dumping them into the rivers because of Prohibition. But the Catholic Church was like, well, we still need wine. And so they're really the ones that kept it going. And you geek out on this content. You're like, this is so cool. And then learning about all of the viticulture, the different wine grapes, the terroir, of how wine grapes grow, how the winemaker designs all of these wines and the mistakes that happen along the way that end up creating these amazing varietals of wine. And so you learn all these incredible things. And, I think people think that wine tasting is kind of a highbrow, snooty, oh yes, I taste persimmons and cranberry, and it's
right.
It's totally, maybe it was like that at one point, but now it's so different. It's such it's a 4D experience, and it really taps into so many different parts of your brain that dentistry doesn't, right? You're really accessing memories of scents. I smelled this wine the other day. I'm not kidding. It was a cab from Paso. And when I smelled it, it smelled like wet basement, but specifically my grandparents' wet basement. As a kid, going down in my grandparents' basement and watching my grandpa build this little train set, and that smell, it took you back, and it's
yes,
this is
awesome.
just so amazing and different. And so I have a love of wine, but I have a love and a passion for dentistry. And I've learned through the years that I can't hide who I am. I'm an authentic person. I grew up in the theater. I'm a wild, out there person. And I feel like dentistry sometimes, when we're wearing scrubs and we all look the same, it strips us sometimes of who we are. Yeah. So I had this really interesting journey that took me through working as a clinical hygienist, faculty, came out the other side. I loved teaching. I just didn't love where I taught and how I taught. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of this was about 3 or 4 years ago. I stepped out of my faculty position and tried to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up. Uh-huh. And I bought a guided journal. And the first page of this guided journal said, if you could do whatever you wanted for the rest of your life and money didn't matter, what would you do? Now, here's the thing.
I love that.
Most people, we start to think, right? Most people would say, well, I want to drink Mai Tais on the beach with a fabulous gay man or whatever, that was whatever. Right. And then after 2 weeks of that drives you crazy. You can't do that. That's not a sustainable thing. We're human beings. We have to have intention. We have to have, something behind what we do. We have to have a purpose. And so after you get that out of your system, it's like, what do you really want to do for the rest of your life if money didn't matter? And I wrote, I want to drink wine, talk about dental hygiene, and save homeless animals. Well,
Oh
fast forward,
my God,
4
stop
years
it.
later,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
I know that's what your Instagram is.
Here I am. I
love
drink
that.
wine and I talk about dental hygiene and I save homeless animals. And it's the most bizarre thing that not only have I created this Instagram handle, but I've created this brand that's really threaded around all of that. And it feels good. I'm acting or pretend, like what you see is what you see on my Instagram.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's raw, you know, and I love it. And it's certainly been something that just, it feels like me, but also has intention and purpose behind it. So it's
Yes.
just been an amazing journey. And I just continue to love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I love that story. Had you ever written in a journal prior to that, to the guided journal thing, like when you went and bought it?
Yeah,
Kind of.
so I hadn't. I kind of thought that people that wrote in journals were kind of hippy dippy and like, well, okay, you know, like rub your crystals and but then then I started journaling and I'm like, wow, this is just a way for you to brain dump what's happening, where your heart is. I started with guided journals and now I journal every morning. You know, I literally set aside time before I even reply to my emails. I wake up, I have a cup of coffee, I play Enya or Fleetwood Mac or whatever, and I journal. And I think it's so important to just get it out there. When you see it on paper, it's like, oh my gosh, that's where brilliance comes in. That's where you can, and what I love too is it's literally my memoirs. I go back 4 years ago to when I started my business and I was writing about the things I wanted, right? Like, I hope someday that I was just thinking about this morning. I wrote, I hope someday that I can be in a position where I can wake up in the morning and journal with coffee and then go do jazzercise and then maybe be on a podcast. And then, by the way, I'm recording my Dance by Serona World program this afternoon. And this evening I'm packing because I'm flying to Charlotte tomorrow to do, like, I dreamed
Yeah.
of this day years ago. Something about like putting that on
The
paper is like
universe.
such an
Yes.
intentional, you are
Yes.
manifesting the heck out of that thing. And I know it's like, it sounds hippy dippy, like Katrina 4 years ago would have been like, okay, weirdo, but now I'm wearing crystals and I'm doing the whole thing and I'm totally into it. Like I totally am. The universe sends you signs is all I can say. And when you pay attention to it, it's like, wow, it's amazing. And so it's just, this journey's been so cool because I do love my brand. Like you have to love what you do and you have to love your brand.
Yes.
I love my brand, but more so I love the self-discovery, the self-love, like all of those things that are encompassed within that brand. And it's just made it such a cool thing.
You are amazing.
So I'm grateful.
Like,
oh, you're
I
so
love
sweet.
this. So I, like you, same thing, like so transparent, same. I mean, but so I've written in journals. I mean, I'm so not the crystal kind of girl either. However, like the intention, as you said, like my entire life, like yours has been, I have written it down and put it out there, and somehow every single little thing, like eyes wide open, signs are everywhere, listening, leaning in. I mean, it's all unfolded, all of it. And it continues to, you know, as like I said, my gut is stronger and I know and believe in it to make the pivots, like when it's calling me. And sometimes like they're big, like on my horizon, there are big things happening as well. But, you know, people will say, well, aren't you scared? Hell no. Like, because right. You just have to kind of lean into that. But
you're so right.
The journal thing is like you said, to your point, so good. What I have not done that I would love to do, like you just said though, and I just have to do it, is I know you, like Amy Cloud, there are a couple of awesome women, you know, like you guys that I know that do this, like get up and do this in the morning. How do you find the time? Like, do you just schedule it in like you do the gym? I mean, what time do you get up in the morning? Because like,
oh my gosh, yeah, you're so fun. Yeah, you have to schedule it in. You know, so I get up about 5 a.m. and by get up, I mean, my dogs are, you know, doing the whole like mom, it's breakfast time thing.
Yeah.
But I'm up and I'm thinking about my day. I struggle with this. We all do. Like the first thing I want to do is grab my phone and check my emails.
Yes.
I'm sure you're in the same boat. There's so many of us that are in this boat. Like I probably get I get hundreds of emails a day, hundreds. And these aren't just like, you need your tire rotation done. These are like emails that require my undivided attention. And it is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've found is I can start my day by going through these emails, and by midday, I'm drained. I'm exhausted. So much of my energy has gone into this. Yeah. And what would take me, however long to complete these emails, it would take me far less time if I started my day with high energy, where I'm just rocking these emails back and forth, Yeah. And I've even found, part of my brand is when people are sliding into my DMs, instead of just messaging them back, I love them hearing my voice. So even on Instagram, like I'll be, so hey, good. Susan, thank you so much for messaging me. This is so awesome. Like, keep rocking it, sister. And then boom, it's done. Instead of feeling like, hey, Susan, thank you for connecting with me. Thank you for sliding into my DMs. So I find that it creates this opportunity to really focus the intention behind my energy in what I do. But you're right. I have to schedule it in. I've had to be very clear with myself. No, don't get to that email. That email is fine. There's a reason why they emailed you. People that I do business with that know how to get a hold of me, they know they can call me or text me if it's like immediate, right? Sure. So the email can wait, sit down and journal. And then, yes, I do schedule, I jazzercise every morning. So I schedule in my jazzercise. It's blocked into my schedule. So even if people go into my Calendly, they cannot access that time. That is me time, right? Yeah. And then I just started scheduling midday yoga. I'm giving myself like a little 15, 20 minute sliver of time just to do some like, sun salutations or whatever, just a little bit to just get my hiney off this chair and get moving a little bit. And that's been really good. It just, focuses your breathing. Again, if Katrina 4 years ago was listening to this podcast, she'd be like, who even are you? But it's so important because it changes. The work that we do does require creativity. I'm writing programs, I'm writing content, I'm writing courses. I have clients contacting me, hey, Katrina, we're looking for this. I don't want to give them my canned response. I want to give, they deserve my best. Yes. But my best means maybe I'm not responding to your email right away at 5 a.m. Pacific time. Yes. Maybe my best is taking the time to really get myself centered so that when I come into something, I can really splash into it with the intent and energy around my brand. I love it. So that's been huge for me.
So how many days are you practicing clinically though right now?
So I practice minimum 2 days a week, practicing. And my job is so cool. Like my job is amazing. So I work for AZ Perio. We are the country's largest periodontal group practice. All of our doctors are owners within the practice, and they're all diplomats to the American Board of Periodontology, but we're a huge group practice. We're spread out all across Arizona, even into northern Arizona. So here's the hippy dippy in me. Sometimes they send me up to Sedona, where I can go up there, bring my crystals, do some hot yoga while I'm there. They put me up in a hotel. It's amazing. It's like the best thing ever. I love it. Yeah. And the work I do is so different. So I am a practicing hygienist, but I don't work seeing prophy and perio maintenance cases. I work in the surgical op with the doctor. Ooh. So when doctors performing flap cases or laser assisted osseous procedures, I'm in that surgery with the doc. So it's kind of cool because you see this disease process in a completely different way. And all of our doctors are like geek level brilliant. Yeah. So and it's a learning facility. So, I see cases all the time that I'm like, what made you decide to use Gem 21 over AmnioSpark or whatever, and they walk me through that. And it's a learning environment. But then the other side of that is I see doctors, new patient consultations as well. So I get to be the first, what used to be the first face, but now I'm covered. I used to be the first face of the practice. The patients would come in, they're already scared. They hate being in a perio office. Sure. Come on in, sit down. Hey, welcome. Like, you're part of our family now. Like I and I get to educate them. We do code diagnosis with the doctor. We help treatment plan, walk through the stages of the treatment process. And I kind of guide the patient through that, which is such a cool, valuable way to use a hygienist's skills. Yeah. So yeah, I love what I do. I don't feel like, ugh, I have to put scrubs on today. Like I really love what I do so much. And I'm fortunate. I know not everybody gets to feel that way about their clinical work, especially. So my part of my brand is making this world a place where people can feel excited to go to work.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that because I've created my world around the same. I mean, just throw some
Yeah.
kiddos into the mix at home and,
Yeah.
being multi-passionate, but
Yeah.
we create our own worlds
Yes.
and lives, which is incredible. And so I love, and that's why I had asked you to share with your days, because I do, I have had the opportunity to speak to other hygienists that are multi-passionate and have other dreams and things, but they're afraid to
Yeah.
scale back, like financially, when I think you and I both know if you lean in to what your passion is, you can change so many other, people's lives and things. And like the money follows that. Like to me,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
never, I leap and the net appears. I'm that kind of person. I've never looked at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
financial side of things. I've looked at what will
Yeah.
fulfill me completely. And then, like I said, it always works out. So
Well, but that's a multifaceted thing. When
yeah,
people hold back, that's a scarcity mindset. It's
right.
like I don't want to do that because I'm scared.
Yeah.
And one of the beautiful things about journaling is I go back to the times when I was terrified to do something. And for all of us, that story is different. You've got kids. Like, how scary is that to take that leap of faith when you're like, I mean, I have to like make sure my kids get fed, and all these things. The more that you have, the more you have to lose. So as you build a brand and people are watching you, it's even scarier to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go blindly into this thing. But when you have that scarcity mindset, it holds you back so much. And for so many women, I think we're different. There's a feminine energy around business, and there's a feminine energy around doing things that's so different than the masculine, like, we need to market things, we need to advertise, your Facebook page needs to look like this. There's
Yeah.
such women are empathetic. Our gut, and the things that feel right for us, we don't have to be able to describe it. We just have to
Right.
know in our heart of
Totally.
hearts that this
Mhm.
does or doesn't feel right. And it is scary. When I was building my business, I was on my way to the top, and I like had hit this like peak where it was like, boom, like things were happening. People at least like knew who I was. And literally my mom collapsed in the kitchen and died. Like, I mean, literally, like, it was just like,
Oh,
boom, like the universe just like took me a step back. And it's like,
this is good. I'm so
so
sorry.
I could, thank you. So I could, yeah, that's scary. That's hard. Like, those are moments when you want to just crawl in a hole and die by yourself. Right. Those are moments when you stop and you go like, what is this? Is this the universe telling me that I got too big for my britches? What is this? I had to pivot in my brand. I couldn't be fearful. I had to know, like, I'm on this earth. Like, mom taught me, like, no. Like, you grab yourself by the bootstraps and get up. My mom used to say, one of her favorite slogans, we'd like fall, on the ground, and we'd, be like scabbed up, bleeding, have like gravel in our wound, be crying, Mom, I fell. She would say, did you tell the ground you were sorry? That was my mom's like thing. Like,
Oh, I
what?
love
Like,
it.
what kind of mom says that,
Yeah.
But now I'm here in my business and I'm like, oh, did I tell the ground I was sorry? Like, get up and do it. And
Right.
then a year later, I ended a 9-year relationship with my boyfriend at the time, my significant other. It was a toxic, horrible, terrible relationship. But on the outside, people thought that I had this like amazing, supportive, and it's like, and how scary is that? Because again, I have a brand. People are watching, and I thought my brand was, oh, she's got it together. And look at this amazing guy that's supporting her. And I had to pivot and I had to be real about it. But this is what's so, and I want to share this because it's so important. That scarcity mindset, that what happens if I break up with him and he moves out, and like, what if my business collapses from underneath me? What if, right?
Hmm.
But what if,
Yes, I love it.
he leaves and the toxic thing, the poison in your world just got drained,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
What if this is the thing that you needed to be doing? What if this is your opportunity to step into your power? And I think that's where, like, we as women, first and foremost, right? We're dental professionals, but we're women first and foremost, that we have to honor that. We have to honor that thing that's kind of pulling us,
Yep.
because there's a reason that that's there. There's a reason that this idea is in your heart. There's a reason why this brand is in your heart. There's a reason why you are on the path that you're on.
Yep.
And I think we need to take the moments to sit back and reflect on that,
It's
and
so
be
good.
more of an abundance mindset around it.
Always.
What if I fly? Right?
Yes.
What
So
if I soar?
the thing is, I keep looking, so like people can't see me because we're on a podcast. But like I was looking at the door because I have a card somewhere. So I have like fun, positive, like magnets and things. And I have the card that says "What if?" ? You know that the card, it says "What if?" I am a big, because what if is huge. Like you said, I absolutely love that, because what if means like all of that goodness that can be brought into your life, all of those things that could happen. Like if you allow yourself to just, like I said, to go with it, go with that intuition. And that's because what if? Exactly. So even with my kids, or stepping into something huge where people would say, oh my gosh, like, aren't you afraid? No, because the worst case scenario would be I would just pivot again. And if we had to pack up and go south and live in a little house and, underneath a palm tree, like whatever, you just do, but to be held back, and to the point of like with your mom, life is too short. It is too short. My mom was a dentist. I practiced with her. My mom was like your mom. She was the one that the Eiffel Tower was like, the line is too long. We have got 3 hours to the airport. We are taking the stairs. Let's go. I mean, my mom was just that mom too, that if I fell, she'd be like, yup, and get up. Like,
get up.
She, taught me so much, but she, was diagnosed with early set Alzheimer's, and,
I'm sorry.
But it's so difficult, but that is just it that, I know. And so for my mom, I'm sure like your mom, there are so many things I would love to share with her about the things that we are doing in dentistry beyond, just the clinical work and touching lives and being able to inspire and empower and repeat. Right. So it's just, I'm so thankful we were raised by, like moms. I do think mindset has a lot to do with that as well, but we are in control of our destinies and our power. So I say, if somebody, like I said, because it goes way back, it does, but find yourself the help, or a soul coach, or somebody that can help you with that.
Oh my gosh.
To take it to the next level.
Coaching is everything. And that's, I think, the thing that people don't realize. Like, I have a marketing and branding coach. I have a life coach. I have a relationships coach. I have a communications coach. I have a speaking coach. I have coaches. I have support. You have to have support. And sometimes I think we look around at our families and we expect our families or our friends to constantly be providing that support. And yes, you need to have a support structure there. But there are people that literally are so well and eloquently trained to help you see where that path is going. And I love that you brought up the concepts of having that safety net there. Elizabeth Gilbert, in her book, Big Magic, I don't know if you've read it. She's amazing. Yes. And in the book, Big Magic, she talks about that. I mean, she talks about, it is all about mindset. It's about knowing that there's a deeper purpose or an intent behind what it is that you're doing. And what I love about her concept is that it teaches you that this is going to happen no matter what. COVID happened to everybody. Let's just say it did. It happened to everybody. Just when I was back on top, like I was like, okay, like I'm healing from mom's passing, and I got like this like horrible human out of my life, and I'm building and my business was back on track. Then COVID happens. And by the way, I was actually in France wine tasting for my birthday.
Oh my God.
That's where I was when the pandemic happened. My birthday is March 13th. That's the day that our president called the travel ban. So I was in France. I got the most expensive flight out of France before the travel ban happened. Wow. So it's like really, but it's silver lining, right? Yes. These things aren't happening to you. They're happening for you. Yes. So take those moments to go back and go, okay, what is it that I need to be learning from this experience? And what is the universe or higher power or whatever that is, like, what is that teaching me? Because that's where you can start to get very granular about where you can be intentional in your path moving forward.
I am so incredibly grateful, even though, like I said, because first of all, and I'm sure all of you out there, I mean, have heard from our patients even, just listening and living through these beautiful pivots. Like life, we have all been on a hamster wheel for so long. Again, and not necessarily listening to our intuition, pushing it down. And it allowed us the time to be present with our significant others, or the people in our lives. Like for me, my children, my husband, and just kind of all of those things. But even for me, it was to step into dental soiree. I launched the Dental Brand Boot Camp. Dentists weren't working, so we had so much fun together. And I was able, like I said, this space to lean in, live here. I mean, I've had this beautiful space, and practicing, I really was not ever able to, get over here. So it was just so incredible. And I have just, the stories that have come out of it for everybody are amazing. Those that just like let it guide them, instead of just going the other way, like deep down. And there were some unfortunate circumstances that happened. I'm sure you heard as well, like over that time, with some, but for the others that just powered along. And you know what, there's something to be said for that, because that scarcity mindset that happened to a lot of dental practices, as owners not being able to practice, and you have a 3-month emergency fund. Well, when you take care of your team for 8 weeks of that, because you think it's going to change, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, there's nothing left, and all of that. But guess what, guys, we all made it. We all made it to the other side. And I've come back to our practices, and they've been booming, and things are great. And that's the point. Like I said, ride the wave is what I always say. Don't get trapped underneath it, with the gravel, and you can't breathe. Right. To even think. You need to stay on top and ride it out to the shore, because life is such a gift. Like we were saying, you just have to go with it. Step into the next biggest thing that's feeding your soul, that you love, and it will all be okay. It's always okay. Like the universe is there to guide us. And like you said, to listen to your gut and just go with it. It doesn't seem to like when you go against,
it'll tell you. The universe will let you know when you're trying to go against it. Yes. Yeah. It'll let you know. You're like, why is this so hard? Why is this so difficult? It's because you're on the wrong path. The universe is trying to push you onto the right path. 100%. And what I love about that is yes, COVID happened, and we've all been hit with it, whatever that looks like. I don't want to pretend like everything's amazing. Like, no, like things happened, right? I came back from COVID, from France, and contracts were canceling left and right, and things were shifting to an online platform or whatever that looked like. Yes, I had to pivot in my business. I had to get creative. So you have two choices. You can bury your head in the sand, and you can say like, this is the worst thing ever, and blah, 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 blah. Or you can say, okay, now it's time to try something different. And I don't mean to downplay it, because you're absolutely right. There are mental health issues that I think were amplified by what happened. And that is a completely different layer that, if you really are suffering and, in your heart of hearts, you're struggling, don't be too proud to seek help. Like you should be having that, resource and that support behind you. But not every day is puppies and kittens and roses and rosé wine for me. I mean, there are days where like, and I call my dad every day. It was an initiative that I set, after mom passed, like every day I call dad, every day. Even if we talk for 5 minutes, 2 hours, whatever, it doesn't matter. I call him every day.
I love that.
And so my dad's the best human ever. Seriously, he's amazing.
But I keep saying that. I just don't. You're inspiring me. Thank you.
Yes, call home. Do it. Seriously. So I call my dad, and some days it's like, Dad, this amazing thing happened. I got invited to speak for this, or I'm doing this or whatever. And then some days, like this morning, I'm like, Dad, I'm freaking out. My program isn't right. Da 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 da. And my dad's like, it's always something, Katrina. Just keep, like. Did you tell the ground you were sorry and move on? And it's like, not every day is amazing. We get to decide how we attack that day. And one of the things that I love that Elizabeth Gilbert said is, what is the worst thing? Like, imagine that. What is the absolute worst thing that could happen?
Yes.
Like seriously, what is that? You fall on your face, you embarrass yourself in front of, a handful of people on social media that like some of them you've never even met, what is seriously the worst thing that could happen, And then I think about like losing mom and having to move on from these. And it's like, I've already like, having to write her eulogy on a flight home, you know, and sit next to my dad in the front, the man who performed CPR on her, as we say our goodbyes to her, meeting the families who received her organs, like, though that is literally, those are the most horrific in my world. And I know we all have our own different challenges in that, but in my world, that was some of the worst, those are the worst memories that sit in my head, and they hurt my heart so much. But I think about, I can make it through this. You know what I mean? Right. It's fine. I've been through that.
Yes, you can do
I can make it. This is nothing compared to what that was. And I think that's the beautiful thing. How can you honor the things that you've been through in the past, and look at them with a healthy mindset and honor them, and believe that has prepared you for where you're going. Right. And that I think is true strength and reflection.
Absolutely. Like you said, writing a eulogy, like, you know, it's all like your legacy and what you're leaving behind. When we speak about journaling, the reason why I love journaling, and I have always said, is, you know, and I've written since my mom, because my mom, this is what's so incredible too, gave me my first journal. It's a canvas. It's got strawberries on it. I started writing at 9 years old. It was Christmas. And I got this big gerbil set and I wrote, but my mother, I went through the teenage years of 13 where I was like, drop me off in the corner. Oh, I don't want to be seen. You know, I went through all that.
We've all been there.
Of course. But she instilled enough. I trusted that she would not read my journals. She somehow, you know, I continued to write, like I said, all of those years where I actually probably at 50 or so went in, because my kids are that age, you know, they're 8, 11 and 12. I went in, I was like, let's see what I was like when I was your age. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I was like, okay, I opened it and I saw Jess loves Kev, true love forever. He's awesome. He's mint. I was like, Jim Curley's mint. And all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, let's just shut this book right now and keep moving.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I had this like little fruit fly that I must have slammed in the book, and I have it under tape. And I was like, oh, like poor thing. When I was like 40 years old, this
so funny.
Freaking little fruit fly. But anyway, it's amazing. But the thing is I was like, okay, so I started those, they're G, then they're PG, then they're PG-13, and they probably go to R. So I was like, I love though, when I move on in life, that my kids and my kids' kids like will have my memoir, my life story, you know, and all of it there. And I try to say too, even with social media, because I have no time, you know, I mean, we create our own time, yes. And even if you're part of that 5 a.m. club, which if you haven't read that book, that's phenomenal. Amazing. But time isn't as much of the essence today, because we're checking all the emails, we're doing all of the things. I have stepped into Instagram, and yes, I have like, you know, 7 accounts, trying to lean more into just my doctor personal account. But that one personal account is my kind of photo journal, if you will. And that's why I'm like, I don't care, blinders on, I'm doing me. I'm completely transparent, authentic as well. But I make chapbooks now. So I just make them into books with photos. And instead of writing, you get my little captions of what I'm thinking in those little blips of time. And I try to encourage, you know, where dental practices, you know, everyone has to step into social media today, because that's where it's at. That's what I try to, is that empowering dentists to do. And they get so caught up and like, again, back to that mindset, like stuck. And I'm like, just think about, you know, like it's kind of you documenting, this is your journey, your document, the legacy you're leaving behind for your practice. And just step into that, you know, like you're talking to a friend or sharing things, because that's what I do. And I, you know, I truly love it, but that's my way of journaling today. Although I'm going to take you up on I'm going to find that time in the morning to do that. Because I know versus photo journaling, writing things down, you know, it amplifies to our point earlier, like, you know, you saying that it absolutely, there's something about that where like, I don't know, the universe hears it on tenfold. And, you know, in pictures, that's why we make vision boards. Certainly in the past, even down to my engagement ring, having met my husband later, my wedding ring, which was a Tiffany ornate, very exquisite ring, I had loved, like ripped it out of InStyle magazine 5 years prior to meeting Andrew, and folded it up. And I was like, someday when I meet my man, it didn't say it was from Tiffany & Co, nothing. It just said P for platinum. And it was in style when they did like the A's to Z's. Folded it up, put it in a journal. The journal I was writing at the time. It was in my attic in Massachusetts when I went home, when Andrew proposed to me with the ring in Boston Gardens, and I was dying. When I saw the ring, I was like, oh my God.
That's it.
Because
yeah.
I was thinking about Europe too. And I was like, a love story. And I would love some kind of a, you know, again, very ornate ring. I know we're on a podcast, like you can't see here, but anyway, I go up to the attic and I'm like searching it out, find that journal. It was the exact ring. So Andrew's story.
Oh my gosh.
Andrew goes in, and I remember writing about it, right? Like someday, like I'm going to, you know, meet him in this ring, da, 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 da. So Andrew goes into Tiffany to learn the A, B's, and C's about rings, A to Z, right? He's like, I will never, Englishman. He's from London. He's like, I'm not buying the ring here. Like, I'm just going to learn about diamonds. So he walks in. His story is like, he looks down in the case and he was like, that's Jessica's ring. That was it.
Oh my gosh.
First ring he saw. Turns out it's called The Legacy. And which was like,
wow.
The story's insane, but like, literally I had the picture. Talk about vision, like, right? When you see you feel it through and through, and then you write about it. I am telling you all, and I'm sure you know this too, everything has come off my vision boards. When you put intention into it, right? So I try to explain that, like, give yourself that space and really feel it, because I know a lot of dental practices do it, which is great. We inspire to do that with teams, but it's like, don't just do it for, you know, because you have to do it. Because it won't, if you do it that way.
Of course. There has to be intention behind it. First of all, I love that story, by the way. How adorable is that? I think it just, and that's what I mean. Those are the signs from the universe that it's like, click, right? Stored, understand, I got it. And, you know, you're so right. I love, you know, I think social media.
Thanks for that, universe.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. You got some fabulous bling bling to show off because of it.
It's not bling, but can you imagine when you meet the guy? I think in my head, I was always like, I would have a hard time. Like, because if a guy got you like a little, something that was not you.
Yeah. Right? It was like ugly. You know, yeah. You're like, oh, what? Yeah.
Like, well, it would be hard because it came from their heart. You would want to support them and wear that. And like I said, with us, it was 6 months engaged and married under a year. It was like whirlwind at 35. Wow. Met him and it was go time. You know, that cliche when they say, you know, you absolutely do. I used to hate when people said that to me, but it's so true. Because
good to know.
it goes fast. But that would have been hard. And it's amazing because like I hadn't even shared with him what I was looking for, what I wanted, because it was that fast. But I knew in my head, oh gosh, please universe, like just make it be eventually like something that I will love, because you have to hear it every day of your life. And you don't want to say, okay, can we go back and get another or get a different?
Yeah, you don't want to be that girl. Yeah.
No, please no. No, I would have sucked it up. But like I said, thank you, universe.
Thank you, universe, for that. Totally. And it's so true. And I think the distinction is with social media, there's certain things that, you know, like I 100%, you know, manifest. Like I, of course, you know, you're on Facebook and the diamond rings are going, you're like, oh, someday, you know, I don't know if I would put that on my Instagram. Like, I don't know if I'd be like, this is the ring.
Yeah.
Where is he? He's got, you know, but there's something so intimate about writing that or putting together your own personal, your own vision board, tearing that page out of a magazine, folding it up, putting it in a journal, and knowing that you're going to be revisiting that someday. Because I think we all know in the back of our minds, when you're writing these words out, that future you is going to read that at some point, right? Like you're writing a letter to future you.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of an interesting layer to it. One of my favorite activities that I do when I do leadership training is we walk through the entire program. And then at the end of the program, the last activity we do is we write a letter to ourselves in 1 year. And we say, I'm so proud of you because you have accomplished the following. And we write the things that we want.
Yeah.
And then you receive that letter a year later. And I think that's so important because it's such an intimate way for you to maybe put things down that maybe you don't want to embarrass yourself on social media by saying, you know, I'm going to be speaking for Yankee next year. You know, I am, you know, because you don't want people to be like, congratulations, you are. Oh, no. I'm manifesting that. Right.
Yes.
But if you can write it and then you can go back and visit it, it's amazing. And you're right. It puts you on the path. You don't just do it to do it. You do it because
you feel it.
put the pen to the paper, the universe honors that, you see it. And it's like, this is what I'm working toward. So then you can start to reflect as your intentions and your actions throughout the year continue to move along. You get to look at that and go, does this align with what my goals are, what my own, like in my heart of hearts, objectives are for what I see for myself.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, I think, where we have to be mindful and intentional about what it is that we're asking for. The saying is true, be careful what you ask for.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
yeah,
the universe will give it to you if you work hard enough for it.
You do have to give yourself the space to dream, and really go there. So to your point, I'm sure you do this when you do your leadership training. I've done it in Tony Robbins' business mastery, where you stepped into like your higher self, like nothing else around you, right? Giving yourself the space to really go deep with what, like I said, your dreams are. Because, and then like we said, feel them and write them down. Because, so like for me, I go to Florida, everybody that's known me for 15 years. It's like, I give myself time to step away, and step out. I mean, literally I get to the airport, I'm on that tarmac and I'm like, oh, like I feel it like vibration through my body.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
woo, like everything is just like letting go, because I take, my suitcase is filled with like my fun colored pens and blank paper, and maybe a great book, like, Big Magic, something like, a good book, or books rather. And I clear and I do my best thinking. So I have created space for me, and I trained myself at this point. I know, like I said, it works. I'm able to step in. And that's, again, because I have kids here. Like, people are like, why don't you go downtown to a hotel? And I'm like, because that won't work for me. I'm going to be like, why am I spending money here when my family is like right up the road? This doesn't that wouldn't work. Sure. So for me, the ocean, palm trees feed my soul. Like I said, I have to step in there. But I think for everybody to find whatever it is that works for you, but you do have to create space to, when you are going to, write these things down and really, really go there, like we said, to manifest that. You create the vision and manifest. Because I think there are a lot of people that don't know, like haven't given themselves that time, or don't know how to go there. And it is such a beautiful gift.
It is.
Because life is so beautiful and offers like,
you're so right. And I think about it as a dental professional, like what are the moments when you are just in your own head and by yourself, right? Like we spend so much of our time like 18 inches from someone else's face, right?
Oh,
you wake up in the morning,
their energy
100%. Yeah. I don't want to be here. I don't like being at the, you're like, okay, thanks. I don't like you being here either. Get out of my chair then, So 100%, you wake up in the morning, you've got family, you've got somebody who needs you. Most women do at this point, in their lives or their careers, whether it's kids or, significant other or animals or whatever. So yes, you're there, then you're in the car. Most of us are like listening to music or listening to a podcast, like our brains are constantly like getting triggered. Then you get to work and it's like, boom, the office manager is mad at you for something and the lead assistant is yelling about it, and it's just boom, 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 boom. Even over your lunch hour. Oh, the Crest Oral-B wrap is here. They want to talk to you about this too, and you're like,
lunch, what's that?
Thanks for bringing Panera while we talk about this. I'm so excited. You don't get to like tune out, even just going to the bathroom for like 10 seconds, like you feel bad going to the bathroom and being by yourself in the restroom. So that, your day keeps moving. Boom, 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 boom. You finish your day. You feel guilty if you don't get off to the gym or whatever. You come home, you're preparing dinner for yourself, for your family, whatever. You get to your phone. How many text messages do you have on your phone? Facebook messages, Insta DMs, like all these things, right? Like, I mean, we are just constantly going. And then you sit down, finally, when you sit down on the couch and turn on some Netflix and you're watching the Office reruns, you're like, oh my gosh, like what happened in my day? Like, you're right. We don't, when are we ever like taking that time for us? And so it makes sense that for so many people, it's so hard to connect to that because we don't create those spaces. We don't create those time, opportunities for us to really kind of, unplug and to really focus our energy. So I love that you say that because the best work that I do is when I take a weekend workshop or a retreat where my intentions are, I'm focusing 110% on the teachings of this workshop.
Right.
And I come out of it, revitalized and invigorated and so thrilled and excited to come back and to do it. And our work deserves that. Our patients deserve that.
Yes.
Our
Exactly.
families deserve that. Our hearts and souls deserve that.
Right.
So I'm 100% on board with you. I think that's amazing.
Totally. Well, you say like, go to the bathroom. I'm like, when? Because we don't even drink water.
When?
I mean,
I know. Exactly.
It's really, I mean, I think a lot of us speak to it, but we all know it. And you just said it so eloquently. I mean, that is dentistry right there. And it's a lot. And so I think, and that goes back to where I started with you, which about that you set your lifestyle up for success, which is amazing. And I think for others too, life at the end of the day, yes, financially we have bills to pay and we have to, right? We have a bare minimum basically, but to, what your future self, to really look at that and where you want to be, like I said, and give yourself that time. And maybe that is taking a day off a week or half a day or something to think about. Like I said, your health is your best wealth, especially our minds. I mean, look at my mom's mind, like our minds, to feed our souls, to lean into whatever we love. Like there are other things I have learned. The beauty with COVID, I mean, I started this podcast, I've spoken with so many women, and so many of us are multi-passionate and have bigger, like other big dreams. Dental Girl Gang that I started too, amazing. Like I have a big vision for that in January, which Big Magic is our first read, by the way.
I love that.
Yes. Like, we've been working on that because everything we are talking about here today is what I'm bringing to Dental Girl Gang, because I love that it is women from everywhere, women that want to become assistants or become hygienists or are hygienists or assistants and dentists, and everyone, all of us as a community. So many I have learned that are dealing with, like we said, imposter syndrome and like all of these other things. I don't want to talk about dentistry. I want to talk about this stuff. I want to talk about, vision and, create a life book of sorts, which is diving in deep into the categories in your life and writing them down and feeling them and then supporting one another to get there, because this is so important. And I'm so happy, like, that you know what I mean? That we're having this conversation because it's just completely fed my soul, and it's so important.
That's 100%. And I think that's what it is for a long time. I mean, I think, let's just be real. It's been an old boys club for a long time in dentistry.
Right.
And it has been difficult. As a hygienist, it's a lot easier. Men are the minority in my immediate industry, but it hasn't been until recently that we started to see that women are now being admitted at higher rates to dental school programs. So it's exciting and it's thrilling to see that women are really starting to enter this. It makes sense. Women are empathetic. They're kind. They have a very maternal quality about the work that they do. And I think for a long time, even, being a woman, going to dental school, being trained by male faculty that are going to tell you, this is how you communicate this to the patient. And it's like, but there is a feminine energy around it. And we have to honor that. We have to come together and say, no, there are different ways that we want to be able to effectively communicate or provide care to our patients that maybe isn't within the infrastructure or maybe within the confines of how you do things, but women are reimagining those things, and they're doing it in such a beautiful way where we're able to really kind of come together and support. And I don't mean to say let's turn a blind eye to it, because in our practice, I'll use AZ Perio as an example. All of our doctors are male except for one. We have one female doctor. She's amazing. I mean, she is a boss babe and she freaking rocks it. And I adore her. We sometimes get those patients that even though she says, this is what you need, I'm concerned, let's get this started, the patient won't listen to her. We need to bring in a male doctor, and then the patient will listen. We still, as women, are working tirelessly to figure out how to brand ourselves as, yes, I am. I have these credentials. I have these letters after my name. I am just as educated. I maybe performed better in school than your male dentist that you're seeing right now.
Right.
I'm going to do things differently. And yes, you may come into my practice and I'm going to be burning essential oils in the office or whatever, whatever that is. Like we need to wear that with strength and with pride. we are different. Let's stop pretending to be men. Let's stop honoring all of that masculine energy. Let's step forward together. But in order to do that, we have to come together. We have to have retreats where women are coming together as professionals and saying, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. You know, and maybe it's more than just clinical. Maybe it's not like I struggle with the margins on number 30 on the distal. Do you struggle? It's not about that, right? It's so much more. And the more that we can honor that and come together and say, we all are struggling with a lot of the same things. As female entrepreneurs, we all struggle with trying to keep our inboxes clean.
Right, exactly.
We all struggle to find time in our day to journal. We struggle to find time to work out. We struggle to find time to, meditate or whatever it is that we need to do. We struggle to find time to eat well. We struggle to find time to stay hydrated. All the things. We all struggle with those things. None of us are perfect. Nobody has the perfect recipe. You can read these books from people that have, the 5 a.m. club, all these books about, how to leaders make their bed in the morning. I don't make my bed every morning. I guess I screwed up with that. Sorry. We have to look at this differently, and it has to be something that works for you, and know that there are so many communities of women that are out there that are experiencing those same things. Let's have that conversation together instead of you having that conversation in your head and feeling the weight of that all the time, right? Come together and create that conversation, because that's where we're going to really be able to create some change in our profession.
Yeah. And that's why I solely want to speak to that, because like you said, there are so many dental, Facebook, all you see are hygiene clubs and dentist clubs and and then assistants, and everyone's like, it's not, and like I said, in the mesial ridge and negative. That patient, this money, forget it. We need a positive environment, community, because life is hard enough when we're in, like I said, practicing dentistry. And again, back to life is too short, and let's live it together and live our best lives and support one another and be happy and go after our dreams. Cause like, that's it. So
I love that.
I know. And I could talk to you like all day long. One question before we like wrap with what your handles are and stuff. Do you envision, so visionary over here, right? Like, I know you are. And I don't know why I felt immediately, like when we got on, like you're going to have your own line. Like you're going to.
Okay. Yes. So I'm working on it. Yes, I am. I'm working on my own wine. I'm still conceptualizing what that looks like, because I want it to be from the right region and I want it to be bottled the right way. I don't want it to just be like a bottle of Barefoot that we've like slapped a label on, So yes, I am working on that actually. And I'm really thrilled about it. I think it's going to be exciting. So stay tuned. That's 100% happening.
I love it so much. I just read the story about the Rose All Day girls on my flight coming back from Florida, I think like a week or two ago. So, and I couldn't even believe, I was like, gosh, that's amazing. But good for you. That's incredible. I love everything you're doing. I love your outlook on life. I knew, like I said, that because you, again, like you said, you just shine through, you do you are who you are. I mean, even seeing you through those grids, like this is, who you are. So everybody definitely like head over to the Dental Wine Genist to follow her. And can you share everywhere else? Because I know you've got your podcast and all the other things.
Yeah. Thank you. So yes, find me on Instagram at the Dental Wine Genist. You can also find me on Facebook at the Dental Wine Genist. I'm on LinkedIn, and it's like my full name with the alphabet soup at the end. So Katrina M. Sanders, RDH, BSDH, MED, So find me on LinkedIn. Also, yes, I am on one of the co-hosts of Tooth or Dare podcast with Tooth Life Irene. So find us on Tooth or Dare podcast as well.
Awesome too. God, you
and she is amazing. Yes, she is absolutely amazing. It's just been a dream. And you can also check out more information about me on my website, www.katrinasanders.com. It's kind of a nice little hub for all things about what's going on in my world. So check it out. I will warn you, if you go onto my Instagram, it's going to be a lot of pictures of my dogs and me drinking wine. So if that's something you fancy, join me on Instagram.
Oh, you're awesome. Like we said, so to close, everyone loves wine. So yeah, head over and check her out. I thank you so much for being here today with me. This has been a blast. So.
Oh, thank you. We're soul sisters, girl. I love it. So thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Until next time, guys.